Gildroy. Welcome to Seafood Matters podcast. Head chef and integral role in the running of the Magpie Cafe. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jim. It's a pleasure to be on with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Going on from the intro, it's always find it interesting with something like the Magpie Cafe, which to me is an institution and it's really iconic. When do you feel it's a cafe and when do you feel it's a seafood restaurant?
Well, to be honest, I think when I first started the Magpie, which was quite many moons ago, I started in 1986. It was predominantly fish and chips, which is obviously what the Magpie made its name has made its name on. But then I suppose over the years we've introduced more fish and seafood, and you change the meals from just fish and chips to decent seafood dishes. So then I suppose it sort of changes from just being a cafe to being a restaurant, because you put in you put in maybe a better standard of dish on your menu, as opposed to, I don't want to just say just fish and chips, because fish and chips is a fantastic dish in its own right anyway. So it's different. I think it was probably more so the introduction of other fish and shellfish onto the menu that probably changes your outlook of being a cafe to a restaurant. If you don't know what I mean, it's yeah, yeah. Like I say, I certainly don't want to put put a fish and chips as a fish and chips is like I say, fish and chips is a fantastic meal in its own right. It done correctly. It's an unbeatable British dish, really, isn't it?
Totally. The top as far as I'm concerned. You've got quite a large menu, I believe.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, when I started it, the menu was very. We'd certainly had a lot of different types of fish for fried fish and chips. We used to do mixed grills and things like that. But then I suppose once we started introducing other dishes to our menu, when we tried to take some of these dishes off to try something new, a lot of our customers just didn't want us to take them off, so we ended up keeping a few of them on. And to be honest, quite a few of the dishes that we do have on it, because we use a lot of varieties of fish and different things. The dishes have sort of evolved round what I've got round me, so I'm using bits that maybe I can't use on a certain dish that I can use on other dishes. So trimmings off. Whereas when we're portioning fish for fried fish and chips, you get trimmings of that. So you use them for your fish pies. The haddock trimmings for gratins and things like that. So it sort of naturally evolves your menu to a degree. So but then some things you just can't take off because of that, and as obviously the customers are actually wanting those dishes. So it's
Paul,
difficult.
hearing you saying that just tells me that it's good, honest food.
Yeah.
Because I personally myself, when I had the seafood restaurant, I always felt, that one of the most abused words in the English language nowadays, which I'm sure you agree with, sustainability. Well, to me, if we're wanting to be sustainable, use every part of the fish. Why buy 5 fish when you can utilize every part and buy 2? You don't need to buy the 5. And it's a business. And what's the point in trying to do things cheap or anything like that? because you're not going to survive. And what good is that to people? You're saying there that customers are wanting you to keep on dishes. Well, I think that's a real great answer to hear how you utilise every. I mean, when I was maybe filleting some cod and portioning it, I'm sure you'll get this one. The belly flap was mine. That was my meal.
Yeah, and but it like you say it's all usable. So you like I said, we evolve dishes to use bits like that because it's there's nothing matter. It's still prime fish at the end of the day. It's yeah, you've got to trim the membrane off and things like that, but it's still prime fish. So you utilize it and make something from it, and make a dish from it, and it works. It works.
Well, obviously it does. When you're talking about this length of time Magpie Cafe's been open, it obviously works. See your when I say about the menu and you talk about your menu, would you have a different menu on in the evening than you would maybe at lunchtime?
No, the menu is the same all day long. We have specials boards as well, which we can alter if we wish during the day, as when we run out of things or we get something fresh in or something like that. But no, we normally have the menu available all day. Um, you probably find that I would say up to maybe about 70% of dishes during the day is fish and chips, and then 30% is the other dishes, fish pies, things like that, the grills. Um, as I say, we do an array of different fish and shellfish. But then that on the evening, that sort of turns round a bit. So then you're probably looking at about 40% fish and chips and 60% of the other dishes that we do. So yes, it's and I think that sort of brings it back to the cafe and restaurant sort of scenario. Is it? Yeah, they become more restauranted style meals on an evening. So yeah, that's why I think we are a seafood restaurant as opposed to a cafe.
Yeah. The bigger size of menu, that must create an awful lot of work, a lot of prep and holding stock and for a busy service.
Yes, yeah. I mean, again, Jimmy, it's we have sort of the dishes. A lot of the dishes that we do, you have the basics. So you might have maybe three sort of base sauces that I would use for certain dishes, which you can use, which then you can turn into other things. So then you sort of you limit yourself obviously on the prep because with it being such a large menu, it could go absolutely crazy on the amount of prep that you do. But again, I think the way that we do things, mixing the base ingredients that we have to make a newer dish works. And yeah, obviously you've got a lot of prep on those base items, but it works, and you know where you are with those base items.
Yeah, yeah. It's probably the last person you think of when you're doing all that is yourself. And you don't probably see it as you're giving yourself extra work. It's what you're doing for the customer.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it is. It's as I think, like I said, it just becomes second nature on what you're doing. You don't. Like I say, I've been there 38 years now, and the menu has grown in those 38 years since I've been there, and it becomes just second nature. It doesn't become. It doesn't seem a hard job. It doesn't seem tedious. Doesn't seem repetitive. It just becomes part of the daily life of what we're doing. So it's very difficult when when newer people come in because they think, oh my god, all this all this menu, this. But yeah, for ourselves, I suppose it is just second nature. We just don't think of it being hard work, if you know what
Yeah,
I mean.
yeah,
It's
yeah. I mean, just to let you know where I'm coming from there, we had the Captain's Galley restaurant up in Scrabster for 20 years, and my rule of thumb was main, no, start, meat, and dessert. Four, four, and four. Four starts, four main courses, four desserts. And in between we'd have maybe an intermediate. There would never be more than two, and maybe a pre-dessert in the evenings, and that would be one.
yeah.
And I found that hard enough going.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, we employ a lot of people as well. Yeah, in the kitchen on a very busy day, we would have maybe up to 12 members of staff in there. Um, in quite a small small space as well. But it's just so strange how it just all works and it just flows. I mean, like I say, the kitchen is small. We have 12 people in there. I don't know. It's just again. I don't want to say it's probably well orchestrated and everything just flows and it just runs smoothish. I mean, don't get me wrong. We have our times when things do go a little bit wrong, but they're easily rectified. And yeah, once we're on top of it,
I hope you don't do a Gordon Ramsay and start swearing and throwing the utensils around.
not often. No, no, no.
That's an honest answer. If we can
I would
move
never.
on.
I would never say that I've never sworn because that would be lying. But yeah, but
Yeah,
and you know yourself. I mean, in a busy kitchen, it's the pressure is intense. Especially, I mean, we have 130 covers. On busy days, we could be serving up to nearly 1,000 people a day. So you can imagine just the pressures of the kitchen within that. It's you obviously you're trying to put time scales on getting meals up at within a reasonable time. Obviously, you don't want the customers sat there for too long. So yeah, I think it does get pressurized at times. Like I said, at times, yes, you do swear. I do try to keep. Obviously, you do try to keep anything like that under your own breath. I certainly do. Because at the end of the day, I have a happy crew who work with me. So it's looking after them as well. So it's looking after the customers, but also looking after my brigade. So yeah, it's
it's the statistics you give me there, Paul. I would say if you did it the other way round, because you mentioned 12, a big staff, 12 in the kitchen. Then you tell us up 1,000 meals a day. I think if you said it the other way around, 12 people's not so big when it comes to a service of that size.
no, it probably isn't. But then the amount of space in the kitchen that we've got, it's yeah, it's yeah, we're very much dancing around each other at times. So yeah,
So,
yeah.
sounds to me like a
It's,
well-oiled machine.
yeah, yeah. I would say that. Yes, yeah. I'll go with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Where do you source your seafood from?
So I buy lots of my fish from a local Fishmongers Lockers Fish. They have a pair team that fish out of Peterhead. So we try to source. Obviously, when cod is good up there, we try to source whatever cod we can from Peterhead. Obviously off their pair boats as well. And then they source the others, the haddock. So we've got crikey, we must have maybe 12 different types of fish on at any one draw. So we've got anything cod, haddock, plaice, lemon soles, monkfish, uh, skate, but you can't call it skate, so ray wings now it is called, supposed to be. There's Dover soles, turbot, squid, crikey, we have all sorts of different catfish, hake. So again, the Lotto's tried to source a lot of that for me, but I do also. Well, I used to buy, go on to the Whitby fish market and Scarborough fish market ourselves. Back in 2011, we purchased a fishmongers in Whitby, which gave us an insight going onto the fish markets. By that, it brought a buyer's license, etc. So I then started going onto the fish markets, and I would source what I could from direct off the fish markets. So that sort of opened up bringing in more Dover soles and turbot, more the prime fish that unfortunately sometimes through fishmongers you are paying a higher price for, obviously because they're doing that buying for you. But that gave me being able to go on to the fish markets. That gave me um, my own buyer's license, really. So I was able to bring fish in at a more reasonable cost, which then I could pass on to the customer. So I'm not charging the earth for some of the prime fish. Unfortunately, through the years, Whitby and Scarborough, the whitefish side of things has dropped. Well, has basically completely gone. They're both now shellfish ports. So I've moved on. I do go up to North Shields Fish Market. I do buy off there 2-3 times a week. Because of the travelling distance, it's an hour and a half from Whitby up to North Shields for me. So that's sort of a 5.5 hours out of my day once a day up to the market, do the market, come back. That takes quite a chunk out of my day. So I do have buyers up there that will buy for me, and then I get that transported down from Shields. Which has opened another avenue for prawns up there as well, because obviously North Shields is predominantly a prawn market. The langoustines. So now I do sort of obviously make my langoustines from there, which then has added another thing onto my menu, which I wasn't quite expecting. But now again going back to the rest to the menu side of things. That customers wanting and coming for the langoustines, which is amazing. So yeah, it's yeah. I think you've got to have fingers in a lot of pies to source the right things. Salmon, I get that comes from Shetland. Mussels, I get down from Shetland. Scallops come down from Shetland. Again, sometimes there was a local boat. Some local boats that did scalloping, so I would buy direct off the local boats, and then obviously process the scallops ourselves. And oysters I get from Linda's Farm. Yeah, you just have as much as you need your main supplier, you do need to have all these other bits just to get the quality in that you want.
I
It's
think it's
difficult at times.
I think it's fantastic hearing that, Paul. And what it tells me is you are very much supporting local businesses and the industry. Local as in your local proximity or UK. You know, it doesn't matter to me. I think that's important. And trying to get into your head and see what you're seeing. I think, in fairness to you, you're getting the benefit of what you deserve for the way you go about your business, because you're by supporting locals, and your setup is based around locally sourcing. When you're at the fish markets or speaking to your local fishermen, and that the langoustines, the scallops, all these things fall into place. So it's win-win all the way, because you're getting wonderful seafood, different things as the industry evolves, and your customers are getting fantastic meals. So I just see positivity and win-win right through that story.
Yeah, well, it's yeah, it's true. I mean, uh, I've 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 always been an advocate of trying to support our fishermen. And then say when we bought the fishmongers and we were able to, we brought a new side to my job of going onto the fish markets, and it opened my eyes seeing actually what other things there was on there from that. And yeah, just slowly introducing them onto the menu. One, it gives something different for the customers, and the customers love it. But then, like you said, it's then being able to actually say, oh, well, actually, I got that from over the road, or just down, just up the road, or whatever. Just being able to say that it's locally, it is as very much as we possibly can locally sourced, and there's a reason for that, is because it's you know how you're getting the quality, you're getting the freshness, and that's important to us. Is being able to is having that grasp on us, being able to control that side of things. And it does make a difference. As I say, I mean the prawns from Shields at the moment. I mean, I only buy the larger ones, and the guys up there are brilliant. I mean they understand what we want, and they work with me as much as they want me to buy as much as possible from the fish markets that help them. They work with me, and I just get that sense of feeling that they're pleased we've got that relationship going, and they're pleased that what we're doing, as well as what supporting them.
Yeah, I've worked with fishermen all my life, and it's fantastic how cooperative they can be.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, it I think that engine, the public don't understand what such a hard job being a fisherman is. Every day that they go out to fish, I don't think people know. They don't know when they go out what do. They might catch loads. They might catch absolutely nothing. At the end of the day, the huntsman, they're hunting. They're a hunter. Um, and they go out day in, day out through all sorts of weather. I mean, again, I think probably looking at some of the TV programs now, Trawlerman and things like that, I've actually brought to light what our industry, or the industry, goes through just to bring some fish to somebody's plate. So yeah, just being able to support them and just say, yeah, and talk to them, when stuff is really really good. I let them know. Yeah, I just think that's so important for us. That is trying to support the fishermen, local, UK, whichever. because we need that. You know, we're an island. We've got all this round us, so we should support the fishermen that are going out on a daily basis trying to catch it.
Yeah, I was going to go on and I think you've answered my next question because I was going to ask you why you don't, obviously from what you're saying, you don't buy frozen at sea foreign fish, but from what you've said already, why would you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we have got that fresh available from around the country. You know, it's yeah, we've never even thought about using the frozen at sea stuff or anything. I mean, I treat fresh fish as like fresh meat. You know, you cook it once it's cooked, you let it rest a bit, and it relaxes. It like a piece of like a steak does. You know, you cook that, you let it just relax, and it just improves as it just relaxes. It just I don't know. It's strange to no, that's strange to sort of explain, but yeah, I just yeah, I'm very much a fresh person, and I would never see myself not even contemplating looking at frozen at sea. I just don't think it in my personal view. I just don't think it's the same as fresh.
It makes me think people that are buying frozen at sea, they're probably picking up the phone and almost like ball bearings on a shelf, they'll order, they'll put their order in and they'll put their size on. But if they're listening to you, look at all they're missing by not just going around locally talking to people. Even if you're in the Midlands, let's say, and not close to a fish market, just speak to people on the coast that are. They could gain far, far more than they're thinking they're saving just now.
Yeah, exactly. And like we say, it's it's supporting our fishermen. You know, it's so important. I think yeah, yeah. I do feel strongly about that. You know, it's a tradition that we need to keep. Like I say, we're an island. We should be allowed to fish our waters. We should be embracing everything that comes in off there. You know, and I know a lot does get exported, but we as a country ourselves could use so much more of that if we just reach out there and talk to people, like you say, talk to people.
I totally agree. It reminds me there, Paul, we had Japanese people coming to our restaurant for quite a while. They were in a joint venture with a company up here, and they used to come to the restaurant a lot, and I used to serve them sashimi. Sometimes I would say to them, sorry, I can't have any tonight. Oh, why? I says, well, there was nothing, there was no boats landed today, and I wouldn't give it to you more than 24 hours old. And another time, they says to me, can you introduce tuna? And I says, well, I have a problem with that. I'm sorry. He says, why? What's the problem? They're landed all over the world. I says, yeah, that's my problem. They're landed over the world, but not in Scrabster.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
and on both occasions, he says to me, Paul, what a wonderful answer. So just be honest with people and
yeah,
yourself.
yeah. Exactly. I think that's very true. That Jimmy, it's I mean, don't get me wrong. We have had tuna on in the past. In to be honest, I've not had it on our menu now for must be 15 years now, 15, 18 years. But again, that was probably the similar sort of thing. You know, why use that when we've got everything round better things round us now? So yeah, utilize what we've got as opposed to bringing other things in from elsewhere.
We had a good friend of both ours, mutual friend, Stelius Ceres, on a podcast recently, and he made the point about he felt, which I have to say, can parts of it I agree with because when I was saying there should be more UK fish sold to the frying industry, but he felt that there could be more sort of joint up thinking and more a collective approach to it.
Um, yeah, I mean, to be on how I think of that is a lot of it is down to cost with a lot of businesses. Frozen at sea fish is cheaper than fresh fish. I made it slated for saying it, but I think a lot of places do use frozen at sea fish because of the price, because it is cheaper than fresh. Yeah, I don't know. It is different, but then I think sometimes that within the fish and chip trade, some of the bodies that you know are out there helping the fish and chip trade, they I think tend to put, or it always seems to come across as if they push frozen at sea fish but before fresh. Whereas I think they need to bring themselves forward and actually say, okay, yeah, why not use fresh, and why not support our local markets? Why not support our local industry, our UK industry? Like I said, then that's my view. I'm predominantly fresh fish, and always have been, and always will be, and I'm obviously on that thing now where I am trying to support as much local and as much UK industry as possible. And it's yeah, I think it's just difficult. I think if like I say, the ones that are there helping the fish and chip trade were just maybe brought in line with a bit, yes, brought or even I suppose even just go around the fish markets themselves and just and then they need to talk to fishermen, suppliers, that processors that deal with fresh fish, and I think understand more, try and get more understanding from them, and then yes, maybe work together a bit more to try and help push fresh, and our industry, our fishermen, and help them. But yeah, like I say, I do think a lot of it is down to price, because frozen at sea is cheaper.
But Paul, I'm sure you're of the same mind as me the way you've talked about your day. What I used to always think of that. What's cheap? When's it cheap and when's it dear? Is it cheap if you're buying it at X amount of pound, but your local suppliers are going out of business? Is that cheap? And
Um,
our industry's obliterated.
yeah. I mean, obviously, because I do work the markets and things. When I see cheap fish, I mean, just speaking on the fresh side of things, when I see obviously cheap fish, there's usually two reasons, or I would say probably two main reasons why fish is cheap. One is that there's an abundance of it. There's lots of it, and obviously the market prices do fall because there's that much fish on the markets UK wide, that yeah, it does drop the price. But then it's also quality. Obviously, you're not going to pay big money for fish that's not very good. So obviously that's the reason why it can be cheap. We then try to always buy the prime stuff, because you would want that. I want that in my restaurant. Whereas I want the best quality ingredients coming into us, and that includes your main ingredient is fish. You want the best quality that you can get. It's half the battle won. As a chef, Jim, if you buy good quality ingredients coming in, that is half your battle won, because you don't have to play around with it. You don't have to mask it with anything else. It's you're halfway there on a decent dish, because you've got decent quality ingredients.
Plus the fact that you've got a better shelf life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, say everything's win-win, isn't it? Really, when you think, the freshness of it, and the top quality of it, it's yeah. But you wouldn't have that long anyway, because like I say, if you're doing things right, using good quality things, you're busy enough, so the turnaround is good anyway. So you're always replenishing with good stock. So it's
I think you've also given a brilliant answer to Stelius's point where he says about the joined up thinking and needs more collectivity in that. And he he relates it that a fish and chip shops can phone one voice in Norway, and that's all they do, and they'll source their fish and get it to them. But what you're saying there, you don't want that. You say, speak to the fish merchants and understand what's going on in the industry and learn more about it and be aware of what's going on. That's gold.
Yeah, well, it's true though, Jimmy. It's what does need to happen. We've got this on our doorstep. Why not utilize it? Why not work with them? Why not just use it and say we've got it on our doorstep? So yeah, it's there. Use it. Simple.
You know, it's always interesting, Paul, when you're looking at thinking of a question to ask somebody, and you think the way he is, the kind of person he is, the way he lives his life, he answers them all without you asking him, because a standard sort of question for a chef would be, where do you get your inspiration? You probably get it on fish markets, on fishing boats, standing on harbours, talking to fish merchants.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you do get fishermen saying, "Oh, well, how would you cook that?" Or what would you do with that? And my response is always just keep things simple. Why, I mean, fish is you don't need to do much with fish. Yes, I mean, yes, people's palates do want different things. Yes, but personally, it's you would just pan fry a piece of fish just with a little bit of oil, a little bit of seasoning, finish with a little bit of butter. And what better can you get? To be honest with you, it's it's just gorgeous. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what else to say really on that.
I don't think you need to say anything more. I know exactly what you're saying, and it's really interesting because it's reminding me again of something I found quite amusing in the past, which I'm sure you've come across. You'd be talking to, and obviously they would class me as a chef, and they would be saying they've taken this fish home, unusual species or high value species, and they would be telling me how they cooked this really complicated dish that they saw in either in a recipe book or online or that. Then they would make us, this is a fisherman coming ashore, a nice bit of fish, and going in for all this complicated dishes. And you would get a top of his game chef, and you would say, what would you do with this fish? Just keep it simple. The opposite from what you would expect. So that's telling me you're in a good place, top of your game as a chef. And I think that is so important, that phrase. Keep it simple.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, fish it does it for itself. Like I say, you don't need to play around with it much. You let that do its own speaking, and like I say, just see just a little bit of just light seasoning, and yeah. I'm one for butter. I'm definitely one for butter. I'm a big lad, so I like to keep my joints well greased. So yeah, but butter does marry so well with fish and seafood and things. But yeah, that's me. That's a personal thing. That's so.
Well, you're not alone there, because I go by the term I once heard from a woman, and now she was 93 when she said this. She reckoned there's not enough butter until you can see your teeth marks. And she reads 93.
That's
On
very
the
true.
on the cooking side, what's your preference between, or is there this? Some people say beef dripping, oil. I know some people say, well, beef dripping okay for the chips. but not the fish. What's your view on dripping? It's supposed to be actually much better for you than believe from nutritionists. It's much better for you than oil.
Yeah, I believe it is. But just, I mean, again, it's just down to flavour. It just goes well with the fish. The beef dripping flavour goes into the batter. So then that doesn't go into the fish, but you got that beefiness round the fish, and it's like a seasoning basically to the fish. I've always used beef dripping. I always will use beef dripping. I think like I say, it just adds special that specialness to fish and chips. Um, Oils you can then people use different oils, and you can tell. And sometimes I think the oils are just probably more can be a little bit more overpowering to the fish. It doesn't season the fish as well as beef dripping does. Obviously, with chips, yeah. I mean, again, the beef dripping just adds that to the chips. It just, yeah. I would just say it's like its own personal seasoning to a piece of fish is having beef dripping with it.
That's really interesting. You would expect people to think the opposite, that there would be oil, deep dripping would be stronger than oil.
No, I would say I mean, again, it's probably what I'm just used to beef dripping. If I ever have fish and chips that's done in oil, I can taste the oil. Whereas you can taste the beef, but it like I say, for me, it acts more as like a seasoning to the dish. So it just marries it. It just makes it for me perfect.
Yeah. No, that's. I mean, I think in the past there was nothing but beef dripping used.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean I mean it's definitely a Yorkshire thing. It's certainly uh oh yeah, certainly up north. It's always been beef. Predominantly beef dripping. So I don't know. I mean, I've just always grown up with fish and chips being done in beef dripping, and I just prefer that. Like I say, I just think it seasons the fish. I think it just complements the fish and just makes it taste nicer.
On a maintenance point of view and from a medium for cooking and that, do you find it stable?
Yes, yeah, I do. Yeah, I mean it's like anything. If you don't look after your cooking mediums, they do deteriorate, and it's just managing them. I mean it's like everything. You're frying at a high temperature. That's essentially burning away all the time, such as well, no matter what oil or beef dripping, whatever you use. So it's just management on that. So you're always making sure that your frying medium is right. Again, probably because of the volumes that we go through, we're always adding fresh beef dripping to the pan all the time. So you're getting that freshness of the dripping flavour, as opposed to any that's been there for too many days and has gone too dark, or then that is just not usable. So yeah, I think because we do it, and we have that throughput of meals, it's keeping that cooking medium as a constant. And I think that's important. Is management on that? Yeah.
Excellent. What was your first job on the Magpie Cafe?
um, I started back in 1986. I was 12 years old, and I I think the first thing I went went into was basically to butter bread. Um, butter bread. I used to have to, when the orders came around, cut to whatever people wanted, and then I would just help out on the range, plating dishes up, frying chips, things like that. So
A 12-year-old.
yeah, a 12-year-old, yes, yeah.
Brilliant.
And then when I turned about 13, I would go in before school, rumble a few potatoes and things. I think then even going in after school, I was eager to always work, and yeah, I just loved it. I loved the people back then. I love the people now, but it's always, for me, the Magpie's always been like a family. So it's the people around there as well. But yeah, I mean, I started doing buttering bread, and then I'd say I would go on to rumbling potatoes, sorting the chips, things like that. So yeah, I've started from the bottom, so I know every step of the way, and I think that's as a chef, I think that's important as well to know. I've done everything. I've washed up. I've cleaned the toilets. I've done everything. And like I say, I think as a chef, yeah, that's important to know and to have behind you, because you then respect everyone else in the kitchen. Me as a head chef, I want respect of people, but I also respect everyone else, because I know the jobs that they're doing. I know how hard some of these jobs are. So yeah, I think starting from the very bottom, I think was a good place to start. It's always a good place to start.
Definitely. Definitely always a good place to start. But something
Yeah.
else that I feel comes through your veins, radiates from you, is I think that 12, 13-year old that is buttering bread, who is now the head chef, I still hear and see the passion and enthusiasm.
Yeah, well, 38 years down the line, yeah, it's sometimes difficult to keep that that passion going, but it it
I
is
think
in my
it's just
veins. Yeah,
I think it radiates from you. I think you're just that kind of person and it's brilliant.
thank you. Don't know what to say to that, but yeah, no, it's just my way of life. It's just the what I've
Yeah.
always done. It's yeah, it's
That
just
that's
me.
why that's why you get 1,000 meals in a day. Definitely, definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
On the job side with staff and that, how is the Whitby area for getting staff?
It does get harder. I mean, again, I'm probably blessed and very lucky. I think a lot of my staff I've had there for quite a number of years. So like I said, this is my 38th year for myself. I've got other members of staff which have been there exactly the same amount of time. We have families come, and then obviously their sons or daughters start working for us. So we've always been quite lucky on that side of things. Yes, we could always do with the extra pair of hands now and again, and probably because Whitby has become a high tourist destination, the town itself grows, but the living population of the town is probably still similar to what it was quite a few years. So you haven't got that bigger pool of locals to actually pull into to work, because obviously there's a lot more tourism in the town, so a lot of houses and things like that have now gone for tourism. So yeah, it can be difficult, but like I say, I think I'm blessed because we've got a very good core of staff, or like I said, family anyway. Really, because they are our family. Yeah, we are one big family at the Magpie, and I think that's probably what helps us retain staff, is that we try to treat them as fairly as possible. It's yeah, it's a family. It's a family.
It's fantastic, really is, and you get loyalty. You've to, it's a two-way thing. You give it and you get it.
Exactly, of course it is. Like I said, I think that's because I've worked my way up through all the jobs that's possible through there. You understand, or I understand what things are like, and I'll always try to help people that people that do start working for us. I'll I'll do my best to look after them, because at the end of the day, if I look after them, in return they will look after us, because it's always a two way thing. You look after people and they look after you. It's a
Yeah,
simple way of life.
definitely. And it's a great philosophy and principle to follow, and it works.
Yeah, of course it does. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I believe you're involved quite heavily in the, is it Fish and Ships Festival?
Yeah, so back in 2019, we had our first, we call it Fish and Chips Festival. Probably the sort of the ethos around it is to show the public what we do within the industry, sort of, what we do, what there is round on our coastline from the fish processors. And then it's very much about Whitby's heritage, but also what Whitby is now and what we've got to still offer people now. So we've got the fish processors, we've got people still net mending, still doing netting pots. Obviously, the fishermen and things like that, they're still there doing it. And all again, it's bringing to light all the produce that's just out there, just in a trip in a boat, what you can go and catch, bring it back in, and we eat it. So it's trying to celebrate and embrace that, and just show people what we have, what we still have round our coastline, round our UK water. What we have around, and these traditions are still there, and it's just highlighting what happens behind the scenes to someone getting a piece of fish on a plate. And it's yeah. So we have a fish craft tent, which I'm involved with. So I have people that come down, show net mending, show making sewing a pot, lobster pot. We have a fish display, and again that is all just fish that's probably just from the North Sea or round our waters. And then we have people that come down and filleters from the local businesses, which will then show fish, talk about the fish, fillet the fish, and then I would cook just just simply cook pieces of these fish just for people to sample, just to try. We have people from a shellfish supply that would come down and show how to pick and dress a crab. These are things that people just don't see. And these are traditions that are still going on. A hand-picked crab meat is fantastic compared to the process. The machine picked or whatever they do with that. It seems so. Again, it's showing that these traditions are still actually happening in Whitby and in the UK, and it's trying to embrace that and trying to just to educate people a bit. And yeah, so we have filleting little competitions, and then they'll drag these professional filleters. They'll drag me in to have a fillet off, basically. I mean, they win hands down. They're doing that day in day out. I do it now and again, now and again, but not necessarily not on the scale that they do. So, but it just brings entertainment as well to the watching public. It's just all about trying to promote what we have, and it's a growing festival. Yeah, it's
It's a
I
great,
love it. I just love doing it. It's fantastic.
it's a great concept too, because it lets people see what goes on in the industry. But also, a thing that I like from the sound of it, Paul, is it's very much about the people as well. I love that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, very much. I mean, we have all the museums involved as well, so they look at certain aspects of what and again to do with fishing or sailing and things like that, and they bring things to the festival to get kids involved. Again, it's about educating. It's about just showing what used to be. I mean, obviously Whitby again is famous for Captain Cook, isn't it? I mean, it's one of the greatest navigators of all time. It is bringing that and showcasing it. I think the Fish and Ships Festival. I think is growing year on year, and I think it's a fantastic festival. Yeah, I would recommend it.
Yeah, no, you are just in the way you talk. It's lovely getting your enthusiasm. That's, as I said to you earlier, it's going from buttering bread at 12-year-old, and then it's head chef, organising festivals. It's just what you are, just who you are. It's fantastic.
Yeah, well, as I say, that's it is. It is. It's just me. I just
If I could ask you a question, you mentioned getting your oysters from Lindisfarne. I take it it'll be because geographically it's the closest. Maybe you're going to say it's the best. Have you ever tried? I'm sure you have. I don't know why I asked you that. A battered oyster.
yes, we have. Yeah, we have tried a battered oyster, and
Aren't they just the best?
they are. Yeah, absolutely. Very, they require very little cooking. I mean, you keep your batter nice and things, and yeah, just the flavour that again that heat, and then obviously the crispness of the crispness of the batter it's sensational. It's
Yeah,
yeah, highly recommend those as well.
yeah, yeah. And what's the story about the oyster beds at Lindisfarne?
I said, well, again, personally, I just think they are of a very good quality oyster. The consistent, the clean, the wonderfully tasting. I just think again, just the consistency of them. There is I don't know, there's a lot of oyster companies around, but I have tried others, and I just think that Christopher up at Lindisfarne just do the job right. And when he's not happy to sell them, he doesn't sell them, so you can't get them, which is how it should be. And yeah, I just think the quality just overrides everything else. Again, just with Lindisfarne, I just think they're a fantastic oyster.
Aye, that's great. That's great. That goes from the oyster right to the haddock and the crab. The
Yeah, well, again, it is all about quality. Like I said, you start with the best products available. You've won half your battle. As long as you prepare it right and cook it right, then you're there, aren't you? I mean, it's
yeah,
simple.
yeah. No, it's a great principle. If you were having your last meal at the Magpie, what would it be?
That is such a difficult question because I'm a lover of all fish, shellfish, and everything. I think I would have to start with some crab, just some fresh crab, and some brown bread with it, buttered brown bread, obviously. And then what would I have for my main? I don't know. What would I have for my main? I love monkfish, halibut, things like that. I think I would. Do you know something? I think I would probably just have battered monkfish and some chips for my main. So crab to start off. Fresh Whitby crab, that is as well. Fresh Whitby crab, because again, I just don't think you can beat our the crab round here. And monkfish and chips done in batter, in beef dripping, the traditional way. Salt and vinegar on top, and a slice of white bread with me fish and chips, buttered again. That would be mine.
That sounds pretty good. The only thing I would say missing there is I would maybe try to sneak some Lindisfarne oysters in between both.
Well, yeah, I could have them as an amuse bouche, couldn't I?
No, that's fantastic. That really is. And good luck to your future. I think it's, one of the things I find with the Magpie, anytime a fisherman's been down and at the Parkle shipyard for a launch, or that invariably they take back a recipe book of the Magpie Cafe recipe book. And it's fascinating when you look at some of the pictures and you see the queues that there's been over the years.
Yeah, thank you. It's that's a compliment on its own. So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, Paul. Well, thank you. We'll just finish up there. I'd just like to thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, no, thank you, Jim. As I say, it's been lovely talking to you. I hope I've come across all right for you. And yeah, just like I've said all on, I just love the industry, and I think UK fishing is something we need to embrace and keep hold of and keep alive, and yeah, just support.